Okay, well, attorneys in another case in Florida releasing 1,000 pages of documents in the case against Casey Anthony. Some of the new revelations include her mother, Cindy, telling a blogger she believes Casey, quote, did something to Kaylee.
And Casey apparently tried to hide her pregnancy with Kaylee as long as possible, telling friends and family she was suffering from a tumor. Will these latest details strengthen the case against her? Let's bring in Fox News legal analyst Mercedes Colvin and trial attorney Kelly Saindon. Good to see you both. Mercedes, it's not just that she was in pregnancy denial, right, and she also had allegedly a separate miscarriage. But at one point in time, she confides to a friend, I'm feeling crazy. I think I need to check myself into a mental institution. Now, if true, do you see a potential mental illness defense, insanity?
It's so difficult to prove that, Greg. I think that the defense has already gone forward and said she didn't do this. And they have put in a non-guilty plea, but they haven't talked about this whole insanity defense. As you know, it's only 2% right of those cases are actually successful. It would be very tricky for them to do that. Suddenly to come into this and say, well, maybe there's an insanity plea, because what they have to show to that jury is, right, yes, she committed the crime, but she didn't know that it was wrong when she committed it. That's a very hard push, especially since she's always professed her innocence throughout.
What I don't understand, and maybe Kelly, you can explain it to me, why are we just hearing about this now? This has obviously got to have something, related to the family. The family had to have known. I mean, the family has to know what's wrong with Casey. I mean, her mother, Cindy Anthony, she knows of her daughter's mental past. So when she was in custody and they'd been looking around for her daughter, Kaylee, why didn't the mother step forward and say, look, she did actually have this medical and mental history. You might want to know about it. And I'm talking about telling, perhaps, I don't know, investigators?
Because perhaps she doesn't have a medical and mental history that is applicable in this case, and it's something that is coming out now in an attempt to provide a defense for her. If you think about the pattern of behavior from the family from the very beginning, this child was missing for over a month and no one reported it. Then finally the grandmother got involved. She made a call to 911. And if you look at the historical actions in this case from the mother and the father, or the grandparents in this case, right, first they call in, then they talk about the smell inside the car. Yeah. So they're piecemealing the evidence in this case, and I don't think that there is a history of mental illness.
The family knows more than they're letting off.
Cindy Anthony, the grandmother of little Kayla, the mother of this woman who's the defendant now, Casey Anthony, is quoted by a blogger, I really believe that my daughter, did something to Kaylee. My goodness, how damning is that if your own mother thinks you're capable of murder?
It'll never come in, Greg, because this is why. It's not an admission against Casey. Casey's not going to take the stand. Trust me on that. She's not going to take the stand and profess her innocence.
All they have to do is play that audio tape where she calls 911 and talks about death in the back of the car.
But that's still something that doesn't link her. It doesn't link her. What they found was chloroform, and we know that chloroform is one liquid and might be a decomposing part of the body. But there weren't any fragments. Let's say if there was a decomposing body, where are the trace evidence of a body decomposing in that trunk? There's nothing linking that child's death to Casey.
What about the fact that Casey possibly, allegedly tried to hide her pregnancy so that people wouldn't know about it? Maybe that's some sort of evidence in that she wasn't necessarily happy about having this child. Perhaps she was ashamed. We know that she had a party life. We know that she had several boyfriends. She liked to go out. She liked to drink. That's not necessarily exactly ideal for somebody when they have a small child that they have to take care of.
Well, that goes to motive. It's going to her lifestyle and how a child would get in the way. So I think the prosecution is going to be able to get that in. And just to tie back what Mercedes was saying about the chloroform, they have evidence that research was done how to make that chemical and how to use it on the Anthony family computer.
Casey's computer allegedly showed searches for methods of causing death. That is awfully incriminating.
But
thanks
will
so
it all
much.
come in, though, Greg? That's really what it boils down to.
Oh, I think
if it does, we'll
if you're searching for a way to kill somebody or cause death on your computer and you're accused of murder, you don't think that's admissible evidence?
It'll be in the preliminary. Who was on the computer? There's going to be lots of chain of custody issues that'll come in.
All right, Mercedes Colvin, Kelly Saindon, good to see you both.
You as well.
Thank you for coming in. Well, millions of people suffer from asthma, especially around this time of year during the spring. The allergies, the asthma, intense. But it's not just